Hurricanes.
Yeah,
so,
15 years ago.
Yeah, pretty amazing career for Drew Brees, and I'm sorry to see him go. I thought maybe another year or two, but hey, look, with the way that the salary cap has gone down significantly this year, with all the different things going on in the NFL, it's amazing just trying to follow all the transactions and see who's signing who and who is converting salaries into roster bonuses and signing bonuses. It's crazy what's going on in the NFL right now. It's only going to get crazier, as you pointed out today, starting with the tampering period, and then the league year starts on the 17th, and away we go. And then all things will start, I think starting to be about a month outside of the draft, away from the draft, and you'll be able to start to see whether or not guys like Russell Wilson and Deshaun Watson are going to get traded, whether or not Trey Lance's pro day blew everybody away, and whether or not they think that a 17-game career at North Dakota State is going to translate to being a great NFL quarterback. That is going to be fascinating, and nobody sits in a more fascinating seat to me than Joe Douglas, because he's got all the decisions, he's got all the money, he's got all the draft picks, and it really, the more I hear, the more I keep reading, the more I keep seeing comments from the Jets, it seems like they want to build through the draft, which I'm all for, but the question for them will be at number 2, do they believe they need to get another quarterback in here and then move on from Sam Darnold? That's really the big question.
So you say build through the draft, so that means that you don't expect the Jets to be all that active in this free agency period, even with the money that they have under the cap?
No, I do. They will. They'll try to supplement their team, much like Dave Gettleman supplemented his team last year, and I thought he did a good job in free agency last year. Wasn't a great job by the Jets in free agency last year, but there are going to be a lot of players out there that are available, like Kevin Zeitler, that will end up having to take less money, but are still very good players and still can be a very good fit for an offensive line somewhere, whether it be the Jets or anybody else for that matter. So there are going to be players like him out there. And so I really feel like Joe Douglas will be aggressive, but he's not going to overpay for somebody, I don't believe.
So you don't think that they're, the top 2 or 3 guys that are available, you're not going to think that the Jets are in on those guys? Because, like a Shaq Barrett, a Bud Dupree, some of these edge rushers that we have heard about that are going to be game changers.
For Shaq Barrett. I could see them being in. Yes. Good. I can't see them being in for Bud Dupree just simply because he's coming off a knee injury.
Yeah, which is tough.
Right. So if he didn't come off a knee injury, he'd be at the top of everybody's list. Kenny Golladay is going to be a guy too. There'll be enough guys out there that there's going to be a lot to choose from. And as we get closer to the 17th, teams that are right now currently over the cap are going to have to be in line with the salary cap. So there's going to either be more re-signings, meaning readjustment of contracts, or there's going to be more guys on the street.
Yeah, I just hope that we're not in one of these situations where the Jets are smartly using their resources and thinking about the draft, and you see a couple of big names go off the board, and then the Jet fan loses their mind. Like, what's Joe Douglas doing? He got more money than anybody. Why aren't you signing every player humanly possible? This guy's another bad GM, and then we'll go down that road. That's what I don't want to see. I mean, also, you got to remember, back when Mike McCagnon had all that money in that one off season, and where that money went, it was horrendous. So hopefully there is not a short memory here. Just because you go out and you allocate a bunch of dollars to C.J. Mosley, Tremaine Johnson, Le'Veon Bell, and whoever the hell else doesn't mean that it's going to pan out for you, because there's a reference point not that long ago that shows you that this exact franchise with a different general manager felt like they had to spend a ton of money, and they didn't do it smartly.
Well, he was also at the end of his tenure, and he was trying to save his job, and he was coming in with a new coach and the whole thing, and a coach that he didn't select. So it was a mess at the top. So now I'd like to think that the general manager and the head coach are going to be in sync with one another. They're going to know the types of players that they're going to want. I'm sure that Rob Saleh is saying, hey, these are the players that I think would fit my system. Let's go and try to get these guys. So there'll be a much more stable, top of the franchise, which is something that, I've been screaming for years and years and years for. The instability has really cost Sam Darnold, I think, in a large part. Whether or not he's something that Joe Douglas wants to get rid of now because he didn't draft him, I understand that. And will Sam be wanted out there, in the NFL? I do believe he will be. Maybe not for as much as everybody thinks he should be, but these are the decisions that every general manager wished they can make. Because with the money, the salary cap situation, the amount of draft picks, where those draft picks are, and what he's trying to do, now this is like a blank slate for him and a canvas that he can paint the way that he wants. And hopefully he'll get it right. I mean, that's why you hired him in the first place. That's why he has been thought of as a guy who was ascending to a general manager spot because of his history, both in Baltimore and Philadelphia, and even in Chicago for a year or so. I mean, everybody thinks the world of the guy. Now the question is, will the decisions reflect what everybody thinks?
Yeah, so I said that on March 15th I would check in with everybody. We'll get Jerry's opinion on this right before the update, but I might as well get everybody else's now since we're on it. So March 1st, I checked in with everybody. I said, who do you think the Jets starting quarterback is going to be here on March 1st? And then I said, we'll check in again on March 15th. Then we'll check in again on April 1st. And we'll continue to go on as long as Sam Darnold is on the roster and we can have this discussion. Now, I know that you are leaning a different way. You alluded to it last week. You now believe that has changed. On March 1st, all of us said that Sam Darnold was going to be the starting quarterback for the Jets. On March 15th, I'm still going to say that Sam Darnold, week 1, is going to be the starting quarterback for the Jets. What say you, Boomer Science?
I say Zach Wilson at number 2.
You think that they're going to draft the kid and trade away Sam Darnold?
I do.
All right, Al Dukes, where do you think the Jets are going to be? Good morning, by the way. Al, how are you?
Good morning. Very well. I'm going Sam Darnold as well.
Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold. Eddie, do you still think that Sam Darnold is going to be the week 1 starting quarterback for the Jets? See, why do we think this now?
All right, so then the question is...
Because I don't even know why I think it anymore.
I know, but
I'll tell you why I think it, because I think the Zach Wilson hype is just that. I think that's what's going on right now, and they're not going to be able to trade for Deshaun Watson, and it's going to be easy for a year, and they can reassess it next year. That's why I think it's going to happen. Go ahead.
All right, so then what do they do with the number 2 overall pick?
I think they're going to trade down, accumulate more picks, and still get a guy that they covet highly with that first overal pick. That's what I think is going to happen. Well, not first overall. Their first pick in the first round.
I get it, and you know that the let's see, that's what I'm looking for.
Draft capital?
No. I just think the overall wisdom in the NFL is that when I'm trying to figure out how to say this, that you just keep
conventional
wisdom. You just keep taking shots on goal when it comes to quarterback, especially when you didn't hire the quarterback, you didn't draft the quarterback. So that's the weird kind of combination here. You have
number
a general
2 overall.
manager,
you can't be wrong.
But what I'm saying is that the general manager did not hire or draft the present quarterback.
I understand, right?
And that always works against whoever the starting quarterback is. It always works against whoever the big name draft guys. Like, look at Jamal Adams. Like, look at Le'Veon Bell. Get these guys out of here. I didn't bring them in here. I'm getting rid of him.
Well, I think they wanted to keep Jamal until he went nuts. So that's a different story.
But it hurts less when you didn't draft him.
No, I agree, because it's not right. It's not your guy. You don't have the personal attachment, all those things that go along with it. But I don't see Joe Douglas as saying, I don't love Zach Wilson, but let's give it a shot. I mean, it has to be a combination of a couple of things. It has to be a combination of the fact that they believe they could do better than Sam Darnold. They believe in the shot on goal theory. Yep. And then also, most importantly, Joe Douglas believes that Zach Wilson is going to be a star. He's not just going to take him because he's a quarterback and he's there.
So do you take anything out of these pro days?
I don't, because I feel like everybody, name me a guy who had a terrible pro day. Is there? Did Lamar Jackson not have a great pro? Or maybe he had a great one. I forget. Maybe one of the guys recently had a bad pro day and turned out to be good. But, I mean, it never happens.
I know that Josh Allen had an awesome pro day.
Yeah.
Okay. I also know that Trey Lance just had an awesome pro day. The kid from North Dakota State. Threw a ball 85 yards in the air.
Blindfolded and drunk. Well, it's amazing.
Then you listen to all the attributes that he brings to a team, the athleticism that he has. But, Zach Wilson has the same athleticism. I don't think he's as fast.
Did he have his pro day yet?
Zach, no. But the other guy, this kid, Trey, was unbelievable.
So now you're saying trade down and get Trey Lance? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
He's going to go in the top 5.
You think?
I believe he'll
Could
go
be
in the
three
top
quarterbacks
5.
in the top 5 now?
There may be 4.
4 in the top 5? Stop.
Again, I'm telling
4?
you, there are teams out there that don't have, their future set yet, and they're looking at these kids. And I'm not sitting here saying that they're all going to turn out to be, Josh Allen.
They can't.
No,
Not all. I mean,
somebody will though. Somebody will be enamored with Trey Lance's arm strength, his athleticism. He only played 17 games in college and only played 1 game this year. But when you see him physically, you're like, holy crap.
Well,
there is a lot to like about what he brings to the table physically. Again, I have not met the kid, so I don't know what kind of kid he is.
There's a lot of teams, too, that'll look back with the recency bias of last year's draft and say, hey, you had Joe Burrow, the consensus number 1, but look who else was sitting there.
That's right.
And Justin Herbert and how good he was. So I know that everybody's drooling over Trevor Lawrence, but let's not forget. So that's going to be in the back of their minds as well. I mean, I for whatever reason, and I understand that Sam Darnold has given us what he's given us, and it's not just poor play. It's also injury and illness and everything.
A lot of it's not his fault.
But I still feel like in this rebuild, the best way to go about it is to not play quarterback roulette in the first round if you don't absolutely love the guy. Accumulate as many picks as you can by trading down if there is a team that absolutely loves the guy and trying to build that way. That's still the way I feel about it today.
And I would say that I would agree with you, but what we don't know is what they're thinking in Florham Park and evaluating these players.
Well, why don't we ask them? I think they'll tell us.
They will not tell us.
You think they'll give us a little bit of a hint?
They will not tell us.
You think they'll try to throw us off the trail and then we'll say the opposite of what they said and then we'll know what's going on?
No.
Is there anybody over there that we can talk to that might snuck into an office?
I've talked to a bunch of people. Nobody's telling you anything.
Nobody's saying anything?
It's kind of like, the whole injury thing in the NHL. They just say lower body. They don't tell you how significant. They don't tell you.
Lower body day to day.
Right.
That's what it is. So, to me, the Deshaun Watson thing is done. It's done. He's not coming to the Jets.
I don't feel like he's coming to the Jets. I feel like they want to build through the draft, like you said.
Well, I don't even think he's available. I mean, it's gotten to the point right now as we sit here today, he's not available.
We still have a month before the draft.
Now, there could be something that happens, of course, and he goes crazy. He does the Oprah interview or the Game Time interview, and he just scorched earth policy, and then all of a sudden he's gone.
Yeah.
It takes down Jack Easterby, who, by the way, apparently it's him because people say it's him, but he's got like an unverified Twitter account, this Jack Easterby. Well, he's only got a couple thousand followers, and he tweets out all sorts of like Bible verses and stuff.
Yeah.
So anyway, that guy.
Okay.
Scorched earth on Jack Easterby, and then maybe he's out of there. But as we sit here today, if I'm Joe Douglas, I'm thinking that's not an option for me, Deshaun Watson.
He may not want to go down that road because Deshaun Watson would be inheriting a team as just like the one he's leaving. So
I understand.
It's not like I think Miami's got a better chance.
Yeah, I tell you, that's going to be something to really keep an eye on this offseason because obviously the Dolphins are ahead of the Jets in the rebuild. But if they take that next step this year with the Bills having done what they did this year, and we know that the Patriots are on the decline, but Belichick's still there, and he's going to be
somehow they were 7-9 last year.
Yeah, they're going to be a pest always. But if all of a sudden you see the Miami Dolphins with their picks and their draft capital, and they all of a sudden have Deshaun Watson with a ready-made team, and then Josh Allen's there, I mean, it's a situation that you just don't want to be in this AFC East after years and years of domination by the Patriots.
That's why I was telling you like a month ago that if that did happen, you better find the fastest bunch of defensive guys you can find.
Yeah.
Get every linebacker and safety and defensive back from Alabama and LSU, and let's go.
Well, I mean, isn't that what Washington did for many years, accumulating those guys? I mean, it sort of paid off in a way.
This is why their defensive line, just like the San Francisco 49ers under Rob Saleh and Kyle Shanahan, they were great because their defensive line basically owned teams.
Well, that team needs to go out and get a quarterback and some offensive weapons, and they could be really, really good.
Who's that?
Washington.
Oh, yeah.
Because of that defense.
His birthday it is today.
Oh, is it a birthday shout-out, CBS Sports Minute situation, Alex Smith?
Taylor Heineke.
Oh, Taylor Heineke.
Alex Smith is no longer with Washington.
Yeah, I know, but I just thought maybe you were...
We were talking about Washington, so now it's Taylor Heineke, who got $8.2 million after that one performance in the playoffs against the Buccaneers.
But he's not going to start. He's not going to start for them, is he?
I don't know. Who's going to start for them?
I think we're going to find out in a number of days.
Mitch Trubisky?
Oy. No, can't be him. Yeah, I don't know. It's a birthday shout-out to Taylor Heineke.
Yeah.
By the way, speaking of backup quarterbacks and guys who are only half good.
Yeah.
So the NBA has been so confusing with contracts and draft picks and things. Like, we talk about the draft, it's like, blows your mind. The NFL is approaching that.
NBA status with the way things get moved around.
So explain to me how a guy can get a 4-year,
$140 million
$140 million
with voidable years.
So they saved money somehow.
They did because
the Saints, that is, and if people don't know what we're talking about. So Taysom Hill gets this 4-year, $140 million contract extension that somehow, with the Drew Brees retirement, coupled with that, saved them $7 million on the cap. But every year is voidable.
Right.
So does that mean does he get this money?
No. He's only going to get a certain amount of money this year. I think he'll get like 12 or 13 million this year, I think it is, which is good for him. But because of the contract and the way that it's written and because that it's over 4 years, believe it or not, there is a cap savings.
It's
just like when Kansas City converts the salary of one Patrick Mahomes into a signing bonus.
I mean,
so then that signing bonus gets spread out over the life of the contract, and it reduces the cap number this year. That's what's going on. And the reason that's going on is because the salary cap in the NFL has
going down.
Basically went down about $17 million.
It's just all these loopholes. To me, it's just silly. It's like the
IRS.
It's a lot of loopholes.
Yeah, loopholes everywhere.
But I feel like it's
pulling your ass off if you're an NFL general manager.
I know,
now.
But it just doesn't seem right to me that's the way that it's going.
Rules, man. It's
strange.
And again, it's big market, small market teams, and really what you have to be able to do all of this, you have to have cash flow.
Oh, yeah.
You got to have cash in the bank, or you got to be able to go to the bank and borrow it before your big money comes in, from the new TV contracts and all that other stuff. And you got to be able to pay these kids off so you can actually get a quality roster.
Think we'll see a lot of one-year deals? You think you're going to see some deals where that first year is a cheaper year, and then because of the new salary cap in the second year, it's going to go way up?
It'd be interesting. We may actually see some more of this Taysom Hill stuff.
Yeah, avoidable years.
Yeah, I mean, you got to give it to the Saints for being creative.
Yeah, sure. Why not? Sign a guy for $140 million, avoidable years, save money, he doesn't get paid, whatever you got to do.
All right, so two things. One, my University of Maryland Terrapins are taking on UConn in the East.
Yep.
A 10 versus a 7.
You got a wonderful sweatshirt on today.
Right, and my man Clark Kellogg yesterday just basically, I'm looking at UConn. They look really good defensively, like not even looking at Maryland. So I'm mad at Clark today.
Okay.
And we can't call him because he likes to take the day off after his selection.
I remember
Sunday
that.
It's so exhausting.
I think that was all the way back in like 2007 or 2008.
Yeah, I see every now and then I'll run into Clark and I'll say, you okay? You going to be okay after the day after selection Sunday? Because I know it's a hard day.
It really is such a silly situation. Like, there's nothing going on in college basketball 99% of the year. The one day that people want to talk about the brackets you take off.
Yeah, I don't know if he's changed. I don't know if he's changed.
He probably is not.
But from the last time, Al, we said we're done with that, right?
Yeah, we banned him after
We banned him,
that.
right? We banned him after that.
plus-
We feel good about banning people.
Yeah,
It's almost like blocking somebody on Twitter, but then if you block them on Twitter, then that's sort of a badge of courage for the person that you block.
Sure, badge
right?
of honor. I would say that it is more the muting that is the better way to go, because then someone can continue to tweet at you and say ridiculous things. You never see it, and they think that they're getting to you, but they're not. That's really the victory lap there. Yeah, but I mean, a lot of radio shows, they're going to do that. Put the bracket expert on. I mean, people want to gamble. People want to gamble on the bracket. That's what it is. There's a few very good local stories. Of course, Rutgers getting in from the first time since the early 90s. That's a very good local story.
Steve Peichel, man, guy's a great coach.
I mean, absolutely. So if you have your alma mater in, if you are someone who loves to bet on college hoops and the tournament and the nature of it, that's great. But
see, my team is like an up and down team. Like, they can come out and they can run UConn right out of the building.
Yeah.
But then they can come out and they can take some of the dumbest shots and be so undisciplined that they could hoist. There was in the game against Michigan, they're up 11, right, and they're playing great and everything else. Then in the second half, all of a sudden, they start hoisting up threes, which are not a good three-point shooting team.
Mm-hmm.
And in a matter of literally 3 minutes, they missed 5 threes, and Michigan made 5 threes.
Look at you getting sucked in.
And then Juwan Howard wanted to fight Mark Turgeon, our coach.
Gotta love that.
I mean, come on, man.
Yeah.
What is that all
Gotta
about?
love that. I love the passion.
What do you love about? What do you
Oh,
love
I
about?
love the passion. I'm
Juwan
going to go
Howard's
fight your
like
coach.
6'10".
It's great. Go over there and intimidate
Turgeon's
him.
like, Turgeon was a point guard at Kansas.
Yeah. Hey, go over there and intimidate him physically. That's what I say. But listen, this is going to be – go ahead.
And then I was going to say, and then finally, Patrick Ewing's Hoyas, make the run of a lifetime, and they win the Big East.
Yep.
Now, I'm still calling fugaziness about, the whole thing about accosting Patrick Ewing over there at Madison Square Garden. But he has the last laugh. He has a smile now. He's being interviewed all over the place. And it's great for him to get his kids, after all they had been through, like all these other teams with the COVID shutdowns and all this stuff and the bubbles and everything else. It was great to see him actually win a championship at the Garden.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't have a team in this tournament. My team declined the NIT. No.
Why not?
Well, because that's your thing. I'm not going to jump on your thing with this.
You should jump on my thing.
I don't want to jump on your thing.
You should jump on my thing.
I think I'd rather jump on Jerry and Rutgers than jump on Maryland.
Why?
Because it's more local. That's why. Jerry's more of a part of this current team. It's not sort of like living in the past.
I bet you in New York City that there are far more Maryland graduates than Rutgers graduates.
Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to hit the red bell so you're notified when we have new content.